Taiwan President Tsai and Speaker McCarthy set to meet in show of democratic solidarity. Taiwan President Tsai Ing-wen and U.S. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy are set for a highly anticipated meeting in California on Wednesday, in a show of democratic solidarity in defiance of threats from China.
Subscribe our YouTube channel and click our bell icon for new videos.
In defiance of threats from China, Tsai will gather with McCarthy and a bipartisan group of U.S. lawmakers at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library in California's Simi Valley, McCarthy's office said in a press release earlier this week. The landmark meeting is the second time Tsai will meet with an American lawmaker of that rank in the space of a year, following a visit from then House Speaker Nancy Pelosi to Taiwan last August. Tsai will also become the first Taiwan president to meet with a U.S. House Speaker on U.S. soil. Beijing launched extensive military drills around the democratic, self-governing island and suspended several lines of communication with Washington in response to Pelosi's visit, raising concerns about aggressive and destabilizing steps it may take in response to Tsai's sit-down with McCarthy, even though this
Subscribe our YouTube channel and click our bell icon for new videos.
About aggressive and destabilizing steps it may take in response to Tsai's sit-down with McCarthy, even though this meeting is taking place in the U.S. Tsai's delegation is making a planned stopover in California following official visits to Taiwan's diplomatic allies Guatemala and Belize, part of a 10-day tour to shore up Taipei's overseas relationships amid increasing pressure from Beijing. Taiwan's official central news agency also reported earlier this week that Tsai would meet with McCarthy while in California, citing the island's presidential office. China's consulate general in Los Angeles condemned the anticipated meeting with McCarthy as not conducive to regional peace, security, and stability, warning it would undermine the political foundation of China-US relations. We will closely follow the development of the situation and resolutely safeguard national sovereignty and territorial integrity, the consulate said in a Monday statement, one of multiple condemnations from Chinese officials in recent weeks as reports of the meeting emerged. China's Communist Party claims the self-governing democracy as its own despite never having controlled it, and has vowed to take the island, by force if necessary. Tsai struck a defiant tone when setting out on her international tour late last month, telling reporters that external pressure wouldn't stop Taiwan from connecting with the world and like-minded democracies. On Tuesday, the island's foreign ministry called repeated Chinese criticisms of her travel increasingly absurd and unreasonable. Taiwan will not back down, and friends in the U.S. who support Taiwan and Taiwan-US relations will not back down either. Democratic partners will only become more united and have more frequent exchanges, the statement said. A major moment for McCarthy and Tsai. The meeting will give both Tsai and McCarthy a prominent platform to highlight US-Taiwan ties. For President Tsai, an in-person meeting with Speaker McCarthy would showcase U.S. bipartisan support for Taiwan, said Bonnie Lin, director of the China Power Project at the Center for Strategic and International Studies in Washington. Speaker McCarthy will likely use the meeting to demonstrate that the United States stands with Taiwan and is willing to push back against China's attempts to pressure, coerce, and internationally isolate the island, Lin said. A source close to McCarthy told 24newsread.blogspot.com the meeting is an important moment for the speaker, who has made creating a select committee on China one of his top priorities and views the U.S. relationship with China as a central issue of our time. Wednesday's meeting is also expected to include Representative Pete Aguilar of California, who is a member of Democratic leadership, and the leaders of the new Select Committee on China, among others, according to a copy of the invite list obtained by 24newsread.blogspot.com. Tsai's stopovers in the U.S., which included transit in New York last week, also come amid heightened tensions between the U.S. and China. The two powers have struggled to stabilize their relationship amid friction over issues from tech security to a suspected Chinese surveillance balloon downed over the U.S. House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries released a statement on Wednesday saying that he met with Tsai last week during her transit through New York City. We had a very productive conversation about the mutual security and economic interests between America and Taiwan. We also discussed our shared commitment to democracy and freedom, Jeffries said in a statement. Tsai also met with 3 U.S. senators last week in New York. Republican Senators Joni Ernst and Dan Sullivan and Democratic Senator Mark Kelly all met with Tsai, according to sources familiar with the meeting. The Wall Street Journal first reported these meetings. Reaction from China. Last week Beijing's top envoy in the U.S. threatened that Tsai's presence in American cities could lead to serious confrontation in the relationship. Beijing may feel it needs to escalate because this would be another U.S. speaker meeting with Tsai within less than a year of the prior meeting. China likely seeks to prevent the United States from normalizing such meetings and to make sure that its actions are strong and painful enough that both the United States and Taiwan understand how opposed China is to such activities, Lin said. Other analysts have pointed out, however, that factors such as the meeting's location in the U.S. and its timing, as China seeks to revamp its diplomacy post-pandemic and months ahead of a presidential election in Taiwan that could reset the tone of its relationship with Beijing, could see China take a less aggressive response compared with last year. The White House is declining to say whether it supports the planned meeting between McCarthy and Taiwan's president. The U.S. maintains an unofficial relationship with Taiwan and Tsai's transit in the country is therefore not an official visit in order to keep Washington aligned with its long-standing One China policy. Under the policy, the U.S. acknowledges China's position that Taiwan is part of China, but has never officially recognized Beijing's claim to the island of 23 million. It is also bound by law to provide the democratic island with the means to defend itself. Congress has remained a key pillar of that unofficial relationship, with delegations of lawmakers visiting the island and driving legislation enhancing support or coordination in recent years in the face of increasing military, economic, and diplomatic pressure on the island from Beijing. With Taiwan and Tsai's transit in the country is therefore not an official visit in order to keep Washington aligned with its long-standing One China policy. Under the policy, the U.S. acknowledges China's position that Taiwan is part of China, but has never officially recognized Beijing's claim to the island of 23 million. It is also bound by law to provide the democratic island with the means to defend itself. Congress has remained a key pillar of that unofficial relationship, with delegations of lawmakers visiting the island and driving legislation enhancing support or coordination in recent years in the face of increasing military, economic, and diplomatic pressure on the island from Beijing. Increasing military, economic, and diplomatic pressure on the island from Beijing.
Subscribe our YouTube channel and click our bell icon for new videos.